Welcome to Fortyborn, the limited Lorcana podcast, where a gaming veteran
and a gaming novice
explore all things Lorcana. With a focus on limited formats, we cover set reviews, strategy guides, and stuff that nobody asked for.
Let's get that stitch.
Oh yeah, I got one stitch.
Got all stitched up.
Yeah, last episode was a good one, having Kindle on. I think he finished up with 5 stitches.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So 5 out of 7, honestly, I could do better. I went 1 out of 3. So I didn't really want to talk much about my set championship experience with Kindle on because honestly it's pretty lackluster.
Real humbling.
Oh yeah, very humbling. And people don't come to us for constructed content.
No.
But today we're gonna do a tool time episode about how to close out a game. So when you're ahead, you have the game in hand. How do you close out and make sure that you don't throw the game away at the last second?
How to close the deal.
Yeah, because I did that in the semifinals. Unfortunately, missing out on my Stitch playmat on a pretty bad blunder and a bit of bad luck. But we're gonna dive into that later. Up front, we got an Instagram.
We got a gram.
Yeah, 40.born. So we posted some reels and stuff. We're trying to figure out what we're doing over there. So
It's hard.
yeah, so why don't you go give us a follow? We're going to try to do some more video content, some more like tips and tricks and quick little things like that on there. We've opened some packs and talked about picks and shared our favorite commons from Into the Inklands, things like that. So if you want to follow us and keep up with that, we're going to try to get that going more regularly.
Yep.
And again, that is at 40.born.
Yeah, get us into your algo.
Oh, yeah. And get us in other people's algo.
It seems weird when we say it like that.
Plural of algo is algae. How is Tybee?
It was great. It was great. It's a funny place. It's a funny place.
Tybee Island is conundrum. Why don't you explain it for people that, I don't know. Is it like, it's not really like a destination. It's sort of just like a Georgia thing, right?
It kind of feels like a destination if you're in Georgia. It's like a vacation for Georgia people.
Nice. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I don't think you're coming to Georgia to go to Tybee.
No.
But if you're in Georgia and you want a beach,
Tybee.
It's an option.
Small, it's affordable. It's a trip, dude. It's a trip. I got some long stories I won't share on the pod, but
Yeah, this is our first time seeing each other in a while.
yeah, it's a wild place.
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear about it.
Yeah.
You said the stories are too long to share? No fun anecdotes or?
we woke up one morning to a stranger in one of our vehicles in the driveway, asleep. So
Which seat?
driver's seat.
No, that's a problem. If it was the passenger seat, I'd be like, all right, this person's here for a good time.
So it was an interesting morning, but they're well. They were okay. Not great, not their best selves,
No.
but they were safe after that.
I'd be lying if I said I didn't wake up in somebody else's car before.
Right? Who hasn't? You know?
I think most people. But well, I'm glad that you had a good time at Tybee.
Yeah, it was fun.
But yeah.
How have you been?
Well, the allergies have been kicking my tail.
Yeah, you sound funny.
Yeah. In the spring, it's pretty brutal here in Georgia.
So bad.
It's like you wake up one day and the whole ground is just yellow. I don't think, I don't know. I haven't lived in any other states for long, but it's pretty bad.
Just for reference, I don't know if I should out myself like this, but like I didn't really believe in allergies. I just, I thought people just complained a lot.
You just thought people were weak.
And then I moved to Georgia and I got allergies. I was like, oh.
It's devastating. I mean,
It's bad.
I have to take Zyrtec every day, and it's just, it's a losing battle. So right now, I can't talk great. I can't breathe great, but I'm here to have a good time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really enjoyed set championships. You did not participate in any.
I did not.
That is okay.
They're in spirit, though.
Yes, I participated in 3 of them. and it was a really good time. It was a lot of fun. I played the same deck at all of them, green, purple, tempo. I'm still trying to get that deck to be called Grurple Nurple, but it's not really catching.
I think it's you'll get there.
Yeah. So it's great. I highly recommend running the Pascals in the 1-drop slot instead of the Chernobog's followers. They were great. And they were great like ways to gain lore passively, as I think people currently aren't respecting evasives very highly.
No respect.
And they're also a great way to answer your opponent's evasives. Red Fossa and Ruby Amethyst, the mini surfer, those are like hard things to answer at the moment. And Pascal is just another way to answer them if you have crabs. So that's good.
You got those.
And then I only run 3.
Okay.
I only have 3 crabs.
Gotcha.
And then
Manageable.
The Tinkerbell, the forecast Tinkerbell that gives something else evasive is also an excellent way to surprise people and take out their Minnie Mouses. So those are my changes. If you want more information, I would watch Artifacts and I would not ask me questions because, well, I only got 1 Stitch. 1 out of 3.
It's not bad.
No, I mean, yeah.
Good baseball numbers.
Let me just step back, actually, because some people might be listening to this and they didn't get a Stitch, and maybe they're like, quit whining. And so I am sorry. I do want to say I'm sorry. I also wanted to say, if you played in these, if you played in 1, if you played in 5, and you didn't get a Stitch, that doesn't mean that you're a bad player.
No.
I think it's important for newer players and more experienced players to realize that in these like events that have like 4 or 5 rounds of Swiss, the variance is so high that it's like hard to really attribute your success to your skill.
Yeah.
Now, somebody like Kendall who wins 5 of these, okay, I get it. You're good at the game. But if you just win a Stitch, like, it's not that hard to trip your way into a top 8 and then win a round and then get one. Because that's what I did. Like, I got so lucky in my pairings because match 1, I played against a local who I've played multiple times. She played great, but I knew exactly what her deck was doing. She was on Amber Steel songs. Put the time down.
Got it. 722 Jake Koff, edit out.
Thank you. And the intern will clean it up in post. So I had a good matchup on that one. I felt comfortable in 2 Steel songs because I know her deck and I know how to play against her, and was able to take that down game 1. Game 2, I played someone that has this is their first game, and she was playing like a homebrewed green-red deck that was good, but it was like an aggro mid-range list that was relying on Lyle Rourke to sort of like try to present problems and say, if you deal with him, you also lose lore. I was just able to get there with going. I out-aggroed her and was able to get there round 2, and then round 3, I played against Ruby Amethyst. And it was a high school student who this was their first trading card game, and he was an excellent player. I played him again in the quarterfinals. But it's just I feel comfortable playing in a Ruby Amethyst, and yeah, I think that the people I played against were good. I'm not saying anything about anybody's skill level, but I could have been put up against Kendall, right? Or I could have been matched up against Zan or any of the players that are like former Magic Pro Tour players that are in Atlanta grinding these events. I dodged all of those matchups, meaning I played people that were in a similar skill level to me, and I just so happened to win all 3 of those rounds, and then I was able to draw the last 2 rounds and go get chicken nuggets.
Nice. What I'm hearing you say is, you got a Stitch, that's awesome, be proud of that, but you also maybe didn't play the world's best Lorcana player, so maybe just like ease up on the bragging, or other people didn't get one.
Yeah, I think I think yes, and also if you didn't get one, it doesn't mean you're a bad player.
Correct.
That's the biggest thing I want to say. A lot of people I think are really upset and really defeated. I didn't get the first 2 I played in. I think I played better in those events than I did in my 3rd event where I got a Stitch.
Yeah.
In my first event, I went 4-2. I had to play 6 rounds. I played really well, and I lost to 2 people that made it to the top 8, and one of them made it to the semifinals. One of them won a GP in Magic. Like, sometimes you just get paired against players that are way better than you. There's nothing you can do about that.
A lot of variables.
Yeah. Somebody said luck is where preparation meets opportunity. I like that phrase.
Seems highbrow. I'll understand it one day.
Yeah.
When
Just
I'm older.
put the timestamp down and we can listen back.
I will.
10-10. So I think it's just important to realize you need to capitalize when you have luck on your side, and you need to give yourself grace when luck is not on your side. And you need to recognize that there is variance involved with pairings, with matchups, with deck matchups, and it's just part of the game.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up if you lose, your first 3 rounds and you're out. That doesn't necessarily mean you weren't prepared or you picked the wrong list or you're a bad player. Sometimes that's just how it goes.
Yeah. I love that.
On the other side of that, what we're about to do is reflect on how that's not the case for me. I cannot blame luck for this. I lost in the semifinals, and I can only blame myself. And we're going to dissect it and extrapolate some tips to help you make sure that you don't do something similar in the future.
And then we're going to let Jake forgive himself.
Yes. That might take more time, but we'll get there eventually.
We'll get there.
So in the quarterfinals, I play the same Ruby Amethyst player that I played in round 3. He wins the die roll, and he goes first, and he wins that. That's a really good game. It's very close, but I'm able to... Oh, wait, no, sorry. He won game 1. It was a super close game. I think I ended the game with 19 lore. And then I needed to top deck a fox, and I couldn't do it. Game 2, I just went super, super aggro, and he didn't have a 1 or a 2 drop, and there was no way he was coming back. So he conceded that game by game 4 or 5. By round 4 or 5. Game 3, he's on the play again, which is tough for me, but I'm able to use a castle and fill it up with characters and get enough card advantage to outgrind that matchup and pull out that win. So I make it to the semifinals where I play another Ruby Amethyst player.
Wait, can I ask a question before we get there?
Yeah.
So this is your second time playing that guy.
Yes.
What was it like that on the comeback? Like when you meet again, what was it like when you sat down? Was there any like...
So this is no dig at this guy because he's a great player, but I could tell he was a little frustrated by it, and his emotions were definitely on his sleeve.
Frustrated by the fact that he was playing you again?
Yes, but he's also, I think, like a 17-year-old kid. Mm-hmm. And so it's like, I get it. It's like when the game started to get away from him in game 3, I think he made a few mistakes and it just sort of started to snowball a bit.
Yeah.
But I don't really want to go into that. I don't really want to
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, he was so much more poised and a better player. And I said that to him than I was, when I was, 5 years older than he is right now. And it's like, there's just a part of trading card games that it's really easy to let a game get away from you, and then your mental game just sort of gets on tilt, and it's hard to come back from that.
Yeah.
And I think he might have just started off on a wrong foot just because he was a little frustrated that he had to run it back against the same list that beat him earlier that day.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah. I get that.
So yeah, great player. I hope he keeps playing. He was talking about going to Cornell to go work at Wall Street. I think he's going to be fine.
Yeah, dude. He won. Yeah. He won the matchup.
Yeah. So, hey, I don't think you need that $600 stitch. All right.
Okay, so that's
I make it to the
matchup.
semifinals, and I'm playing against a really skilled Ruby Amethyst player. He had just defeated a friend of mine at the LGS that I know because he's a friend of mine. Obviously, you know someone that's a friend of yours. He was playing the green steel discard deck and lost. I know he's a good player, so I can infer that this guy's in top 4. He also must be a good player. And game 1, he takes it handily. He just wipes the floor with me. He's on the play. He has the perfect curve out, and I cannot take control. I lose to the castle because he was able to get on the board, get a character at the castle, and the card advantage, it just drowned me. That's the way that you lose against Ruby Amethyst when you're playing Emerald Amethyst. It's about card advantage over time, and he just had the castle, and I couldn't respond to it. I just had a bunch of 1-drops. I was trying to go under him and go fast, and it just didn't come together.
Couldn't come back.
Yeah, no. So I lost that one pretty quick. Game 2 was the opposite. I won that one very quickly. I was on the play. I went fast, and I had my own castle. It was like the same thing, but backwards. Mm-hmm. So game 3, he's on the play again. It's a really good game. But I'm not going to set the entire like sequence of events, but here's a situation where I find myself in. We're going to start with where I make the mistake and then what we can all collectively learn from this. So,
Oof. Deep breath, Jake.
It's the allergies. I'm not getting choked up. So I have 3 Pascals in play. They are exerted because I just quested. And I also have a Merlin Rabbit in play is exerted because it just quested. And then I have a Ursula Deceiver, which is exerted because, like I said, it just quested. So I just quested and gained 5. I'm at 18. I play I believe a snake to bounce something back and replay it. I don't know exactly what happened, but I had a snake that was not exerted. I don't remember how I got there. So I have a snake that's not exerted. And then I have multiple things that are currently exerted, but Pascals, you keep in mind, have evasive because there's multiple characters out. So on the board, I have the game in hand, right? I'm at 18. My opponent was at this point, I think, at like 12. And he had a castle with the Pinocchio exerted at the castle, and he had a fox at the castle, and he had a Pinocchio not exerted outside of the castle. So I choose to take out the Pinocchio because the Pinocchio that's at the castle, because I know the only way that he wins here is if he draws a Be Prepared. There's no way he can do it with fox shenanigans. I looked at his ink. If he drew, if he had ways to bounce, like let's say he had 2 snakes, it still wasn't possible. He could not get to 20 lore. So that's my first thing I check in my brain, right? Can my opponent get to 20 lore next turn? Mm-hmm. No, he cannot. Next, can he try to stop me? Is there any way he can stop me from getting the 20 lore on my following turn? The only way literally that was possible was if he drew a Be Prepared. I know, or I'm almost definitely, I'm almost positive he does not have a Be Prepared because he had 7 ink on the previous turn, and I had 3 Pascals on board and a fox, sorry, not a fox, and a rabbit. So he would have cleared the board to get rid of the Pascals.
Would have played it.
Because his board was pretty empty, and he had the castle on the board, which was gaining lore passively. So if he had to Be Prepared, he would have played it, because then the favor would have gone drastically in his direction. Mm-hmm. So the way I lose this game is he draws Be Prepared, right? If he does not draw Be Prepared, I win.
Yeah.
If he does draw Be Prepared, the only way that I can win at that point would be if I could, draw a fox, play it, and bounce it, or put out enough bodies to quest for 2 the following turn. Mm-hmm. Because when he unfortunately did draw the Be Prepared, he cleared my whole board, and then he ended his turn at 17 lore. So it comes back to me. I have 18. He has 17. On his next turn, he's going to be able to go up to 19 and then 21. So he has the clock going, right? Like, when he drew the Be Prepared, it was absolutely devastating because I then needed to find a way to gain lore immediately. So I have 1 turn to try to do this. It would be nice if I could get a couple of bodies out on the board that could quest for 2, like my Flynn or my Merfolk. If I could play 2 Merfolk out, I doubt he's going to be able to handle both of them. I can quest for 2 on the following turn. He would have 19 lore, and then I would have enough to win, right? So that's what I'm going for now.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is let's go back in time to where I made the mistake. I know the only way that he wins is by playing a Be Prepared.
Yep.
I have the game on board. I look at my hand, and at the end of my turn, I have 1 ink left, and without thinking about it, I just exert the ink and play a Merfolk. There's no reason for me to do that, right? Like, I can't take it back at that point. And he even said, wow, that's really overcommitting. And I'm like, that's true. A little bit rude, but true. And then he's like, okay, rubbing his hands, draws the Be Prepared, plays it, everything's gone. It comes back to me. I draw a Flynn Rider, so I can put a body out that can threaten, but then if he has any type of removal, then he wins.
Yeah.
So I'm able to get a snake and a
Flynn.
A snake and a Flynn. Mm-hmm. So I play the Flynn, play the snake, bounce the Flynn, play the Flynn, and I'm just hoping that he doesn't have an answer for the Flynn, or if he does, then I can pull a goat off the top because
Yeah.
I have 2 card draw spells in my hand. I have 2 copies of Friends on the Other Side. So I know this story is a little bit scattered, but let's walk it back to the point of the mistake as I played the Merfolk when I did not need to. If I didn't do that, then the following turn I would have had access to a Merfolk, a snake, and a Flynn, which means I could have played the Merfolk, played the snake to bounce the Merfolk, played the Merfolk, and then played the Flynn, which meant I would have had a body that could quest for 1 in the snake, and then 2 bodies that could quest for 2. So the only way then he could get rid of that is to top deck another Be Prepared. And if he has a way to just remove 1 body, like a Lady Tremaine or a Madame Medusa, he doesn't have enough ink to do anything else because he only had access to 7 ink at that point.
Yeah.
So I would have won the game 100%. There's no way that he can win at that point other than drawing another Be Prepared off the top of his deck. But because I turned my brain off for half of a second, I played the Merfolk, made a mistake, and he got lucky and drew the Be Prepared, played the Be Prepared, and the mistake was punished, right? Sometimes we make mistakes and they're not punished, and we tend to forget those and act like they don't exist.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we make mistakes and they are punished, and we wake up at 1:30 in a cold sweat, wishing we could do anything to take it back.
And then podcast about it.
And then talk about it on the podcast. So, I know that was rambling. Do you have any questions?
No, I would just like to add that Jake is telling this story and he's not reading off of notes. This man it's just living in his brain, play for play, that he's had to replay. So he is here telling you this story so that we can all learn from the anguish that he has felt.
It's seared into my mind.
So
no, it's pretty devastating. Afterwards, I chatted with the guy about it and talked through the options, and we were like, yeah, that was strictly a mistake. And yeah, it's just like such a easy thing to not do.
Yeah. So what do you think it was at the end? You just see like, I got 1 ink left.
So there's a couple things that I think we can learn. A minor thing is top 8 rounds are not timed. So there was no need for me to rush. I had as much time in the world. But when I start to win, and I think plenty of people can relate to this, when you start to win, you start to play a little bit faster because sometimes the lines feel really simple and straightforward. And instead of thinking about, how do I win, you're just thinking about let's close the door, let's end this game. But sometimes when you're thinking that way, you can overextend and get punished for it. And that's what happened here.
Yeah.
So when in this situation, I think a couple things that I'm taking from this is take your time, take a deep breath. Even when you're winning, it's not worth rushing to get to the next game to make sure you get all 3 of them done in time.
Yeah.
Because it costs you time, but it doesn't really cost your opponent anything. Like, you're playing worse and you're risking the chance of throwing away a guaranteed win or a very likely win. And it's just it's worth just slowing down, taking a deep breath.
Yeah.
And reminding yourself, okay, the game's not over yet. Don't celebrate and don't think about the next game until this game is complete. So that's a small thing to keep in mind.
Right.
Because that's really what happened. I was just on autopilot, and I'm like, I got this game.
Okay.
He has to draw the Be Prepared here. There's literally nothing else.
Yeah.
So I just play it and don't think anything about it. I didn't fathom that he would top deck the Be Prepared.
Right.
So that was frustrating. But the biggest thing, the thing that I really want people to consider when they're in a situation like this is when you find yourself in a position where you are winning, like it is very clear that you have control of the board. Maybe you have advantage in your hand. You have more cards. It's a concept called inevitability, meaning unless something drastically changes, I will win in the next 1 or 2 turns.
Yeah.
In that situation, you need to shift your mindset to not just consider how do I win, but to consider how do I not lose? How do I not throw this away?
Yeah.
Because at that point, you're not trying to press the advantage. You're not trying to win faster. You're just trying to make sure that you don't throw everything away at the last second.
Don't make a mistake.
Don't make a mistake. So when you're winning, slow down and consider, what are my opponent's outs? Okay, I did that. Like, I took that step. His only out, literally his only out, is Be Prepared. And that's what you have to do. You have to play to minimizing your opponent's outs. That's why instead of questing to go to 19 lore, I chose to quest to go to 18 lore and use one of my characters. I think the exerted Ursula Deceiver I used to challenge his Pinocchio because I was trying to reduce the number of cards he got to draw.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I need to reduce the chances that he draws a be prepared while also pushing myself to win on the following turn.
Yeah.
And to do that, I took that challenge. So you need to minimize your opponent's outs, and you need to consider what's your plan in the worst case scenario. So sometimes there's no way around it. Sometimes you just have to say, if you got it, you win. If you don't got it, I win.
Yeah.
But consider, is there a way to say, if you got it, how can I still win? And if there's not, that's when you shift into, well, it is what it is. And sometimes that's just how it works. But in a situation before you dump your hand, before you overcommit or overextend or draw cards that you don't need to draw or spend ink that you don't need to spend or you ink a card that you don't need to ink, just stop and say, I am winning next turn unless they do this very unlikely thing. Maybe I should just do nothing. Maybe I should just quest and say, if you got it, I'm going to rebuild quickly after this.
Yeah.
So I think that's just like the high level things that I want people to consider, because it's very easy, I think, to go over the arc of a game in a natural progression where you start off at a level playing field and maybe you get a little bit behind, and then you're thinking, okay, how do I catch back up? Then you catch back up and you think, okay, how do I get ahead? And then you get ahead and you think about, okay, how do I wrap this up?
Yeah.
And then you get to a point where you're ready to wrap it up, and you need to stop thinking about how do I wrap it up. You need to start thinking about how do I make sure they don't claw their way back into this.
Yeah. Right.
And that's the sort of mindset that I want people to consider. So the tip, that's like the short version of the tip, is when you have a game in the bag, consider every action you do, is it going to reduce your opponent's chance of finding their outs? And if not, don't do it. You shouldn't take actions just for the sake of taking them.
Right.
You shouldn't. Maybe, if I had an extra 3 ink, yeah, I should hard cast a friends and draw cards. There's no reason to not do that. Red purple's not playing any discard, so it doesn't matter. I'm not going to get punished. But I shouldn't have played the Merfolk because it just didn't matter. Right?
Didn't give you... Yeah.
Don't do actions that aren't going to mitigate your opponent's outs. You want to reduce your opponent's ways to win. And if your action, spending the ink, spinning the card, exerting this, doing that, if it doesn't impact your opponent's ability or odds to win, don't do it. And then just make them have their answers. And then you're better equipped to respond on the following turn.
Yeah.
So that's that.
That's it.
Is that clear? I don't know. I don't even know if that counts as a tip.
Yeah, it feels like you knew, listen, this is the only way this opponent has a chance. They'd rather be prepared. But you didn't think about, let's say they do actually draw the be prepared. How do I come back from that? Is there like, it was just this is worst case scenario. It's not likely to happen. But then that's where it stopped.
Yeah, that was basically it. I'm like, if he top decks it, he has it. And I'm going to make him have to have it. But I didn't need to play the Merfolk to make him have to have it. I wasn't thinking about, how do I win even with the
Even with, correct. It's like, yeah.
Even if he has his out, how do I still win?
Do I still have it? Yeah.
I was just sort of like, he's not going to have it.
Right. The odds are, yeah.
I put it all on.
Bad beat.
I was going to say I put it all on black, but that's not true because that's almost 50-50. It's like I put it all on the number 7 on the board, and it's like,
put it on double zero. Yeah.
Yeah. He's not, it's not going to hit a double zero.
Yeah, and he hit it. Congrats to him, man. What a feeling that must have been.
Yeah, no, for sure. And he was a great player. He deserved it. And yeah, it is what it is. Like, that's not to take away from his gameplay.
Right.
I made a mistake, and he played to his outs, and he won.
Brutal, though.
Yeah, it feels really bad, but it's like, again, I can't really complain because I got the card. You know, like the card is worth a lot of money. It's nice. The playmats would have been nice for bragging rights, but honestly, to me, it's not really about that. Like, the thing that I'm just kicking myself over is it's just such a simple mistake to avoid.
Yeah.
Where I can't blame the luck It was completely in my control.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it was a determined victory for me, even if he had to be prepared. I just didn't take the time to consider how can I still win if he has his answer.
If that happens.
Yeah. And so that is a tough lesson to learn. I thought I'd already learned it, but that's part of the game.
Yeah.
And it's like when you've been playing, I guess for me, that was technically only my 5th round, so I can't, I hadn't been grinding rounds
for days.
That wasn't like round 7 like it was for a lot of people. Mm-hmm. For him, it was round 7.
Yeah.
It's easy to let your mind wander or get tired, or I actually drank too much of an energy drink, and I was like super anxious during my 3rd round. And I was like, I gotta go on a walk. That Celsius is hitting hard. Not a sponsor.
Not a sponsor. We'll edit it.
Okay. Well, don't change your pace of play when you're winning. Consider what your opponent's outs are, and consider how you can answer their outs. That's the short version.
Yeah. Take a deep breath, and forgive yourself if you make that mistake, because we're all human.
That's a you tip.
Never forgive. Don't forget.
I haven't forgiven myself in 28 years.
Oh, I start now.
Okay. Well, we did it.
That was helpful, though. Do you feel better?
Do I feel better?
Yeah.
Well, I just checked the prices before this on the Stitch, and I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a little bit better. No, it would have been nice to have a playmat though.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm feeling fine. I mean, I am mostly proud of my friends that played so well. Mm-hmm. Like at the one on Sunday was at my like home store that I go to for League, and 3 of the top 4 were players from the league.
Yeah, that's cool.
And one of them, I'm so super, super proud of her. It was her 7th set championship.
Wow.
She wanted that Stitch
so
bad.
Yeah.
And she grinded these events.
Ugh.
Absolutely grinded them.
Man.
And she's a new player. This is her first one. And she finally, in the 7th one, made it to the top 8 and won and got the Stitch. And we were all like cheering for her. It was such a cool moment.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So shouts out to her.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, that is what it's about. Like, I love these set championships. I think they're a fantastic idea. Hey, Ryan Miller, good job. This is a lot of fun. I am worried. I've seen a lot of people be like, we won't care a whole lot about these a year from now. Like, these will be seen as like the thing for casuals. Mm-hmm. I don't know, because look at the prices of these promos. Like,
right.
People are going to be coming in from other games to try to win these promos.
Yeah.
Like, there are people, like, I played against so many people that are like, I played Yu-Gi-Oh! Until a month ago, and I just started playing this game to try to win these Stitches and resell them.
It's wild.
And it's paying off for them. So
yeah.
My concern is that these cards are worth so much money that it's actually going to be a bigger problem in the future, because they're going to be people that just tour and try to, collect a dozen of these things and sell them and make a lot of money.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. There's pros and cons, but all in all, I had a great time. I talked to a lot of people. I met a lot of people, new players, seasoned veterans alike. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And it's the most fun I've had playing Lorcana.
I love that.
Especially constructed.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't mind seeing a limited set championship in the future.
Now we're talking.
You hear me, Ryan? Okay. Well, to end,
he doesn't.
Do we have any listener questions?
No. One. No questions. But put them in there. We'll answer them.
Yeah. If you want to ask us a question, hop in our Discord. You can also just message us on Twitter or message us at Instagram.
Check out the gram.
40.born. Yeah. Oh, you can email us, fortyborn@gmail.com.
Letters, not the numbers.
If you want advice from Taylor, or if you want, I don't know, not life advice from me, but I can maybe talk to you about Lorcana.
Yeah.
Anything else? I think that's everything.
That's it.
Well, happy card reveal season, y'all. We still plan to do a set review 2 weeks from now.
We do?
I think so.
Yeah.
And so we'll try to cover every common and uncommon so that you can dominate your set release.
Exciting things coming.
Yes, sir.
Bye.